find your escape.
The views and opinions expressed by tonight's guest and topic of discussion do not necessarily represent the official policy or position of Spaced Out Radio, Spaced Out Saturdays or Sundays, SOR Media, its hosts, syndicated carriers, or anyone associated with this broadcast. Any rebroadcast, reproduction, or other use of this broadcast or podcast without the express written consent of SOR Media is strictly prohibited. Listener discretion is advised. Are you experienced? Then come own the night with us.
Little brother has taken control, shoveling dirt in every hole. Predators to condemn your soul, watching you and watching me. We're all
Station atop the mountains of British Columbia, live from SOR headquarters. This is Spaced Out Radio with host Dave Scott.
We live behind glass curtains and act like nothing's wrong. Soon you will belong.
You can follow us on our website, spacedoutradio.com, and on Spaced Out Radio on iTunes. You can follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, and on Instagram at Dave Scott SOR, on Facebook at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on our YouTube channel, Spaced Out Radio.
Brother wants to make headlines, be immortalized. Everyone's got an electric eye with the digital spies. They've watched you for so long. I know you're out there somewhere watching me.
Buckle up, space travelers. It's time to go for a ride on Spaced Out Radio with host Dave Scott.
I know you're out there somewhere. We've watched you for so long. Wait for you to fall. We will expose you all. I know you're out there somewhere watching me. Little brother wants to make headlines, be immortalized.
It's Monday, September 10th, Tuesday, September 11th, if you're on the East Coast or across the pond. And this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. Hope you had a great day and night. I am your host, Dave Scott, broadcasting to you live from the Great White North on top of the mountains of central British Columbia, right here at SOR headquarters. We are 150,000 strong nightly on the SOR radio network and Deep Talk Radio, and we say hello to each and every one of you. If you want to take a listen to our archives, all you got to do is go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is making some changes, but it is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you. You can rock out to Bumblefoot, shop at our store, read up on the encounter online, and so much more. Don't forget, you only have a couple of weeks to get your tickets for the first annual Caribou Paracon, presented by Spaced Out Radio and the Canadian Society of Questers. It is September 28th through 30th. How do you get your tickets? You go to questers.ca. That's questers.ca. Click on the fall conference. Get your tickets right now. Tonight's show is brought to you by the YouTube channel Ensuho. Sebastian Martin brings high-quality messages to the masses. Go to spacedoutradio.com. Click on the Ensuho banner and subscribe to his channel today. We kick off a brand new week with a familiar voice as Vancouver paranormal researcher Bill Hauser joins us for another live Ghost Box session. Bill has brought along a special guest tonight, J.W. Prather, an ITC inventor who builds ghost boxes out of his home in Maine. And he is with us to tell us how they work, the science behind them, and the spiritual conversations and how they happen. So you know how this works. If you're a veteran of one of these shows and you've heard Bill before, we ask that you go into one of the chat rooms or Twitter at #SpacedOutRadio, and you type out your responses. Type them all out at once. Don't do them individually, because we're going to ask some specific questions. Try and keep your answers to what the questions are. So, for instance, if Bill says, "What color is the sky?" don't be typing down Sherlock Holmes, because that's not going to make sense. So that's how we're going to do it. In the end of the show, near the end, Everett Thiemer will be with us at the bottom of hour number 3 for the latest edition of The Encounter from our SOR newsroom. We bring in Bill Hauser, Vancouver paranormal researcher and veteran of Spaced Out Radio, one of our more popular segments on this show. Bill, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well, Dave, and yourself?
I'm doing great, and I got to tell you, my friend, I'm very excited to have you come up here for the first annual Caribou Paracon in just a few weeks. I always love being able to spend some time with you, and it's going to be a great time.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be awesome, that weekend there at the end of this month there. I'm looking forward to it. And I just want to say hello to everybody out there in Spaced Out Radio, the great audience that you have there, Dave.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, you mean a lot to our audience, man. You really do. So, I mean, you're someone that they look forward to. And when you're not around for a few months, like now that you're retired and we can get you into a rhythm, it's okay. But when you were working, man, and there would be like 3, 4, 5, 6 months between shows with you, the audience would be like, "Where's Bill? Where's Bill? How come Bill isn't on?" So this show that we are doing with you now, this is an audience request. This is all them saying, you got to do this. So that's on them, my friend. I mean, I love it. I would do it anyways. But I just want to give them the credit.
Yeah, definitely. It's well appreciated, too. You have a wonderful audience there, Dave.
And you brought a friend with you today.
Yes, I would like to introduce Jay Prather from Maine in the United States of America. He is a ghost box builder, as well as a person that builds other technical devices for the paranormal. So I'd like to introduce Jay right now. Jay, are you there?
Hey, Bill. Hey, Dave. How y'all doing?
Good, good. And you know what? I got to tell our audience. Very good. I'm going to tell our audience right now, they got to be a little, give you a little bit of loose line here, because even though Jay does his own YouTube videos and it has been in the paranormal field for eons and is a very, very prominent creator of the Ghost Box, and his name is well known in the paranormal field, this is actually the first radio show that he has done. So we got to take it easy on him. We got to, warm him up to the snark and the sarcasm. No, I'm just teasing, but we hope you enjoy yourself a lot, J-Dub, and really appreciate you taking the time and that we can introduce you to the large and growing Spaced Out Radio audience.
I'm looking forward to it, Dave. I've been looking forward to it all week. Getting to know you. I've known Bill for a while, but getting to know you and meet your listeners and just get to talk about some of the things I like to do, and I've been looking forward to it. Thank you for having me on.
Oh, no problem. No problem. How did you get to know Bill? How did you guys meet?
It's been eons, like you said a while ago. I've known Bill a long time, and he actually started contacting me about purchasing one of my boxes, and we talked about different boxes, and finally we came down to what he wanted. Actually, I believe I built at least 2 devices for Bill. So over the years, we've just got to know each other more and more and stayed in contact.
Wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. And Bill, tell us a little bit about how you got to know our good friend JW here.
Well, I discovered Jay through, some of the Ghost Box community group rooms on Facebook, and that's how I first heard about him. And then basically I saw some of the devices that he was building, meaning ghost boxes for other clients, and I was quite impressed by them. So I did buy 2 radios from him. The second radio is the direct link. That's what I use on the show here on Spaced Out Radio. It works very well for talk radio.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Hey, before we get into the Ghost Box session here, because we're going to kind of spread this out kind of as we go here throughout the show. But Bill, recently, and you were on air with us about 10 days ago, and you didn't really have a chance to get into detail, but you went over to the Philippines and you did a paranormal investigation over there, and you were even on television showing what you were doing.
Yes, I was on a national TV show called I Wonder on the GMA TV network, and it's a paranormal-based TV show, and I really like what they were doing there, so I had contacted them, and then eventually they decided to have me on. They basically contacted me after I got into the country there and said, "Are you in the country, Bill?" And I said, "Yes." So basically they said, could we arrange for an interview? So they came over to where I was staying at a condo, and basically we did the interview, and then from there we took off to go to the location and actually do on-site filming for the TV show. So it was really interesting.
Wow.
It was a great experience.
Yeah, that had to be pretty exciting to be in a different country, and the request comes in, can you come be on our television program?
Yeah, exactly. I was quite floored by it. I expected, not to hear back from them, and they actually contacted me after, and they said, "Would you love to come on our show?" I said, "Yes." So
I don't blame you.
That's basically how it all. Yeah, that's all how it all happened. Basically, I asked to come on their TV show, so I guess because I'm a foreigner, that made it a little more interesting. I had 2 ghost boxes that they've never seen in the Philippines. So that was another reason. And just generally the location, it seemed to be a good fit for me to work with that and try to communicate with the spirits there.
Is there a difference between the spirits over here comparatively to over there?
That's a tough question. I would say that in some ways, yeah, but in a lot of other ways, they're very much like us here. They chat amongst themselves, I noticed while I was there. And, in Manila, I was getting a lot more English. So when I left Manila to go down south there to Mindanao Island to Cagayan de Oro City, basically they call it CDO, I was getting Visayan language. So that's kind of like a sub-dialect language. It's like a native language.
Oh, cool.
And
cool.
Yeah, that was coming through the Ghost Box. So that really impressed me. And I thought, wow, that's cool. So I ended up using my taxi driver that I made good friends with there, Reggie, and he acted as my interpreter on a few videos. So it turned out to work really well, and he could, try to interpret what they were saying in that language.
Very interesting. Jay, have you ever investigated in another country that has a foreign language?
Me, have I?
Yeah.
No, I have not. I've been in a lot of foreign countries, but I have not got a chance to investigate while I was there.
Well, I'm also going to say this. You are a retired soldier from the United States Marine Corps. Am I correct?
Yes, sir. I was in the Marine Corps.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Even though we're in Canada here, thank you so much for your service. Much respect for you doing what you did for being a Marine. So thank you so much for that. I love being able to thank veterans.
Oh, well, thank you for the acknowledgement, sir. That means a lot to a vet.
Well, and you know what? Our weekend host, Tessa Nicole Thomas, she's a former Marine as well.
I caught that earlier when you did your little live broadcast there on Facebook. She said Semper Fi, and I knew right off the bat I had another Marine in the room.
I have to ask, and I'm going to, every American out there is going to probably roll their eyes at me, but being Canadian, I honestly don't know. I could look it up, but I'll get it from you. What does Semper Fi mean?
Always faithful.
Wonderful.
It's Latin.
Oh, okay. Okay. And how long were you a Marine for?
I did about 5 years of a 6-year tour. I got busted up at the end. I was in the first Persian Gulf War for 10 months.
Right.
Got busted up, sent back here, and got out.
Oh, wow. Well, you okay now?
Well, I'm retired.
Okay, so how do you go from United States Marine Corps to building ghost boxes for the paranormal?
I've always been interested in the paranormal anyway. All my life, I've like a lot of us guys, we were either introduced to it inadvertently as young kids, running into spirits or haunted houses, whatever you want to say. But a lot of the places I lived in seemed to have activity, and my grandmother's house had activity. So even from an early on, I had an interest in it. And when in the Marine Corps, of course, my job was I was a generator tech. And so I learned electronics and working on these old generators and stuff like that. So I learned electrical, and which is what I did after I got out, was all electrical. So frequencies, I learned everything there is to know about the electrical side in the real world, the physical world we live in. And as I studied more about the paranormal, I started realizing there's connections between what we consider physics for us and what may be physics in that other realm. So that's where I've pretty much focused all my attention is on what I learned growing up, being an electrician, and then putting it towards the paranormal field and trying to get answers that way.
Wow. And Bill, when you go into your ghost box session, because you've been doing this for well over a decade now, did you ever, when you were thinking about getting into the whole ghost box, thinking that it was scientific, that it was coming down to physics?
I guess that might have been a little bit in the back of mind. Of course, I looked at it a lot with just your connection to the radio, especially doing ITC type work. It's instrument transcommunications and your connection with the device to bridge the gap to the other side. But physics has always kind of been in the back of my mind, and what might be happening behind the scenes. Yeah, it's always been there.
As somebody who does not really understand physics, and I'm going to be blunt with you, like, I realize every one of us on this planet uses physics on a daily basis. However, knowing the ins and outs of how physics works, I would never think for the life of me, J-Dub, that this would be a real test of physics and knowledge in trying to build this type of machine.
Okay. Here's the deal with ghost boxes. When I got started, I was wanting to build equipment that nobody else was really building at the time, and or I couldn't really afford them on my budget. So I started trying to build paranormal devices I could use for investigating. And I happened to run across, now, Bill, you may remember this group. It was a Yahoo chat group, and I think it was RTS something, whatever it was, but Steve Halty was in there, and there was another guy named the Purple Princess. And we got in I don't know how many arguments, and I finally found out that was Frank Sumption. And I started learning about ghost boxes from those guys. So originally I wasn't looking at building ghost boxes. I was looking at building paranormal devices using physics. And somehow or another, I got interested in the ghost box and just started saying, well, I'll just put it all together into a Swiss Army knife, and I'll have the best of all of it when I go on a site. Because everybody was playing with flashlights, trying to get a response with a flashlight. And I was like, well, I can explain that. It heats up, but it cools down. It heats up, cools down. I want something that's going to test the atmosphere. I want something that's going to test this. So it was kind of an accident that I even ended up building ghost boxes.
So when you started putting this together, how did you know you were getting results?
Well, I'll tell you a little story. I was building them in a little building out behind my house, and I was living in some old base housing. And the box I was working on, I didn't know if it was working or not, and I was getting all this stuff coming out of it. And for about 3 days, I had what sounded like a kid, and I say a kid, he called himself the Kid, But the voice, usually if it came through, was a little smart alecky, and it seemed to be a younger voice. Always smart alecky. And I thought I had something, but I was like, well, it could be in my imagination or whatever. And then one day I was out there working, and another voice was coming through, steadily coming through, and the things that were saying were very clear. And now I'm not going to mention this lady's name, but she came around the corner after about an hour of this, and she was ghost white. Her brother-in-law had passed away the day before, and she had been out there in her backyard about 20 feet from the door where I was working, sitting at her picnic table, listening to all this. She said those messages were for her. They weren't for me. Now, this is just my neighbor who didn't even really know what I was doing, other than just slightly was aware of what I was building out there. But she swore up and down that was messages from her brother-in-law for her to give to her sister. And that's when I kind of knew that I was onto something.
Wow. And Bill, I'm going to bring you back in here for a quick second here, because I think it's important that this really has been, if you want to call it revolutionary, a machine that has definitely changed the way paranormal research is done when you can have actual voice communication.
Yeah, you're getting it in real time. And again, I was very skeptical before I actually turned basically in a Radio Shack type radio into a Hack Shack. So I converted it into it and hacked it. And I started getting voices and voices that I recognize, that people that have passed away. So, yeah, I mean, it was a slow progression for me, but I started to realize, yeah, there's a lot more to this device. Generally, it does bring people through that are passed over.
Well, I got to be do some full-on honesty here. And JW, I know you haven't heard this, so I know Bill has. I was extremely skeptical of this, because working in radio and hearing radio signals, to me, it was all audio pareidolia. And my real last name, like Scott is my middle name. So Dave Scott, I'm like my first name and my middle name. But my last name is real long and Ukrainian, so I just don't even bother using it. It's way too hard to pronounce, and took me to I think grade 9 or 10 to figure it out. But nonetheless, I heard my last name. And it's one of those last names that if you hear it on the radio, it's going to catch your attention. And knowing in British Columbia that there's less than 25 people, 30 people who have that last name in the province of British Columbia, it's pretty rare that it's going to get on the radio in any type of audio pareidolia. But the last time we had Bill on, it kind of really tripped me out, because I have an alien that kind of stalks me every now and again, and we've nicknamed him Carl. And when Bill started asking for Carl, to me it was way too much coincidence that a couple of bars from the Close Encounters of the Third Kind theme song started popping up. That was just way too interesting for me, man. Way too real and way too interesting. So I got to admit, I'm somebody who, I stay on the skeptical side, but I'm starting to believe. And how many people have you had to start making believe because of this?
Who's that question for?
For you, J-Dub, sorry.
I don't try to convince anybody that my devices do anything other than I create them for what I believe is a purpose, but I cannot guarantee that it's going to work every time for every person. As far as the device, in our physical realm, I build it and I guarantee the circuits and so on and so on. But as far as making contact, there is a lot more that goes into it than anything that I actually physically build on a circuit board. And those things I do not control, so therefore I can't convince someone that my box is any better than any other builder's box and it's going to do this, that, and the other. So it's not like you can do that marketing and go, hey, mine's better. No, there's too many variables that we have no control of, and actually have no idea how they even work in order for us to sit there and say, well, mine works and it's always, it's going to work for you.
Right. Hey, I know I've asked Bill this a few times over the last number of months, but I want to get your opinion of this because I think it's important, JW, that you are somebody who builds these for a living, and this is your baby. This is not only a hobby, this is a career, maybe part-time, full-time, I'm not too sure. But when you see somebody like Steve Huff from Huff Paranormal come in and do what he is doing, I don't know if you want to talk about that or if it upsets you a little bit too much where you're going to get into a mood where I don't want to put you in a bad mood, but what is your opinion of somebody like him who is using a ghost box in order to almost, put a little bit of a black eye on the entire paranormal community?
No, that's fine. I don't mind answering. I can answer a question without being emotionally tied to it. He does touch a nerve with a lot of people. I believe that he is unethical. So that's my personal opinion. I do not know the man personally. I've had a few dealings with him years back. And when I discovered what I discovered on my personal end, I just cut off contact with him. But I don't believe it's ethical, what he does. So, but that's just my opinion.
Can you define ethics?
For me, ethics is if you know it's wrong and you do it anyway, you're being unethical. I mean, I don't want to go into a long, drawn-out thing on it, but we all know right from wrong. Right. And you can be unethical and not actually be breaking the law, not actually be breaking any rules, but still be an unethical character because and it could be any number of things. You could be taking advantage of people for your own gain, whatever it is.
Right.
But, yeah, that's how I see unethical, and especially with his situation. Bill,
you would agree with that, right?
Yeah, I agree 100% with Jay. I mean, it's this guy like Steve Huff is very unethical, and he's given the paranormal field a black eye, and just generally what his antics have been up to and all that. So playing on families' emotions and so on. I mean, I don't really want to go into detail, but I heard lots of different stories about him, and I just feel he's a very unethical man.
Yeah, for a lot of people, where Steve Huff has gotten a little bit in hot water is he's the guy who, the minute someone famous dies, he tries to contact them and says he's got their recorded voice literally within hours of the person passing and getting all the details. So, I mean, he has submitted it to places like the National Enquirer, TMZ, those type of entertainment type places who, in order to try and build a name for himself, and he's taken a lot of heat over that. But his thoughts about that is the best time to try and communicate with the spirit is within 24 to 48 hours of anybody's passing. That's what his research shows. But when he targets famous people in order to try and get their names out there, it gets a little tedious. And some people are even claiming that he has, let's just say, fixed some tapes to make it sound like people as well who've passed on. So there's a lot of controversy around them.
I've seen the evidence of that.
Have you?
I've watched and heard some of the evidence of that, and it's not too hard to find it. If you were to Google it, you could start seeing the evidence. And for me, it wasn't real hard for me because I know the sound of my devices, and he actually had one of them. Never gave me credit for it, but I know what my boxes sound like. I have a distinct background noise that's almost in every one of my ghost boxes. And every time there was a reply that was actually what he considered to be, well, it was too good to be true, that mysterious clicking was not there. And I was like, that was doctored even before I even knew the evidence was doctored. I knew by my own ear that it was doctored because I built the tuner. So I didn't need any convincing at that point.
Right.
But the thing is he's got a lot of followers. A lot of people follow him, and a lot of people believe him. And you'll never convince anybody differently, and that's fine. You don't have to. But I believe as adults, human beings, we have responsibilities. So if you're taking advantage of someone who maybe is in a grief or whatever, which I've heard, that's wrong. If someone was to contact me wanting me to build a box and I was starting to get a little bit noticing by the messages that they might be not in the right mind at the moment. I don't want to say right mind, but you know what I'm saying. I would probably hold them off for a little while because wouldn't want to take advantage of somebody who may not know exactly what they want to do, and I'm not just going to take their money and build them something if what I'm doing is not right for them at that time. I would want to verify that they were okay in their right mind, because I get some crazy messages, trust me.
Oh, I bet.
So
I bet.
I don't see taking advantage of people in this field. That doesn't get us anywhere. We have a hard enough time in this field.
Isn't that the truth? I'm going to get to some audience questions here because they are building up before we get going to our first live Ghost Box session. And Aussie Rob, all the way out in Australia, is wondering, what do you think about the GeoBox 2, GeoBox 3 that doesn't make that type sound, but it only answers when an alleged ghost manipulates the device? J-Dub, do you want to take that one?
The GeoBox. To my knowledge, the GeoBox didn't have anything that was specific in it that would allow it to do that. But then again, there may be some other GeoBoxes out there that I don't know of. Most of the GeoBoxes are kind of like what I was doing back in 2010, which was hacking costs, radios, anything I could hack. I hacked it. But I took the guts out. And from what I've seen from the GeoBoxes, they were just these hacked radios that were kind of wired up in there haphazardly and stuck in the box. I'm not sure of a GeoBox that actually had that kind of smart technology in it, to use the phrase, that it could actually tell if you were talking or not. I'm not familiar with it.
Yeah, it's something that I think a lot of people are wondering, because that clicking sound, that there's my impression of it. I'm going to be doing that all night now just to bug you guys. You think about that and you think, okay, like, to me, that tells me, okay, the channels are changing. But if I'm not hearing anything, how do I know really that that's a ghost coming through and not just, pick a voice, Howard Cosell from ABC's Wide World of Sports and a replay of that from 1982?
We've only got 3 hours.
Yes.
So here's the thing about these. I'm looking for what's between the guy selling me the Ford pickup and, the news broadcast and the Weather Channel. I'm looking for what's coming in the middle of those frequencies. That's where I believe a lot of the communication is. Not saying that certain words and phrases aren't put together. Don't know how they do it, but I do know that it can happen, and it does happen. There's been lots of videos and audio of it, but I believe that there's also a lot of communication that are in those frequencies in the middle, and if you draw those out, you can hear voices in those, and that's what led me to creating my DRV, which is based on the old direct radio voice. I have actually removed everything that will actually should receive a signal. You can't get rid of it altogether, but I'm trying to get nothing but just scanning the frequencies themselves without actually trying to lock on to the radio station.
Let's get to another question here. This one comes from Mike, who is asking, with the wide variety of ghost boxes out there for sale, what makes a good ghost box? How can we get the best for our money?
There are so many boxes out there. It really depends on what you're looking for. There's flashy ones, there's not so flashy ones. All of them can and will work. But like I said before, it's more than just what us builders do when we create the box. It's what the user does with it afterwards. And, of course, Frank believed that there was technicians, and some of the other guys believe there may be technicians on the other side, and I'm starting to feel maybe there are. Because when I'm building, I can ask a question, and sometimes I get a relevant answer that actually helps me. So I believe that there's help from the other side, and like all communication, it's two ways.
Right.
So it really depends on what you want, and some people have a particular sound they're looking for, or a particular look they're looking for. So
right.
it's hard to say how to make the best choice for you.
Bill, I want to ask you that same question because as a consumer and someone who has tested numerous different types of models, is there a real difference on what you will get results on and what you won't?
Oh, definitely. I look for, a ghost box that sounds good, of course, but, it scans well, and it's fluent in its scanning, and just generally, will this radio work for me at the end? That's really what I'm looking for. So, a lot of times you can see a lot of different radios out there. You can go to eBay. I would suggest, be very careful what you buy on eBay. But, just generally, there's the PSB-7. That's the most easiest one to acquire. I mean, that's what I tell a lot of people when they first start ghost box work is use that one to get used to it, and then maybe go to a custom built type radio that someone like Jay could build you, and work your way up, and get your contact field. That's what I'm big on, is things like contact field, your connection to the radio.
And when you guys are looking at that and you guys are going through those signals, Bill, is there a comfortability with technology that everybody gets on what works for them? Like, say, for instance, we know JW's machines work for you, but is there a chance it won't work for me and another brand would? Does it kind of flow that way in the paranormal?
Well, it could possibly be. I mean, I look for the sound of the scanning, and, what I hate the worst for any type of ghost box, if it's a real harsh scanning that's hard for me to listen to, then it's hard for me to work with. So that's one factor that I look at big time, is that factor.
Well, let me weigh in here on this one with Bill. Bill's got my ITC direct link, and we know that he's used it all over the world. And he has really good luck with that radio. That tuner. It's not a radio, that's a tuner. And because I program those tuners.
Right.
And there's different kinds of tuners that people build, too. There's analog, there's digital. He's got a digital tuner. And that particular device has no antenna, and I have a video out there on how the device works, but you hold it like a walkie-talkie, and your finger comes in contact with a little plate, and you actually become the reception. But I've had a few people that have purchased those that they have no luck with it at all. But Bill he's had his for years, and correct me if I'm wrong, Bill, you seem to really, really get a lot done with that box.
Yeah, sometimes, I've told you before, Jay, that I've actually put electrical tape over that little plate there and just leave a small amount of plate exposed so I can touch the corner end or whatever. Because sometimes with my body, it's sometimes the reception is a little stronger, so then I get a lot of the broadcast radio coming through, those remnants. So that's one thing I can't stand, is broadcast remnants. I try to minimize that as best as possible.
And that's the thing about the ITC Direct Link is if you don't want any broadcasts at all, just don't put your finger on the button. Don't even touch it. And you're going to get pretty much scanning white noise. It's not going to try to lock onto a radio station. Lay your finger on there, or in his case, just a little bit of on it, and you're kind of controlling how much reception you get for actual broadcasts.
I got a question coming from Trip here, and he is asking, J-Dub, what makes a ghost box where the user can, or pardon me, do you make a ghost box? I apologize, I'm reading these cold. Do you make a ghost box where a user can block certain frequencies, example, radio stations?
Yes, I do. I program them. There's a gentleman out there, Mr. Woolert, and he has purchased a lot of tuners from me. And what Andre will do is he will actually send me a message. He will tell me what frequencies he either wants or what frequencies he does not want, and I will program it however he wants it and ship those out to him. Now, what he's doing is he's just getting the tuners themselves, and then he's building boxes that he uses and his team uses. And I do this with a lot of people across the United States. I just sell them tuners, and they put them in their own boxes. And I will program it however they want it so that they can, like they don't want any radio stations in their area, they'll tell me what stations to leave out, and I'll make sure I don't even put those in the code.
I got to ask, and this may sound like a stupid question, but how do you take a code to take out the radio stations?
Mine are Arduino-based. Are you familiar with Arduino?
No, fill me in.
Okay. Arduino is a platform for inventors. And you can buy the tuners to go with the Arduino board, and it's got a mega chip in it, and I can program it to do whatever I want it to do. I can use these Arduino boards to make my tuners, to make my EMF detectors. I can use these boards. It's like a small, little bitty computer, and I program it however I want to. Of course, I had to teach myself how to write code because I'm not a computer guy, but I learned how to write code at least good enough for me to do what I do, and that's how I program them. I actually write the code in. I tell this tuner what I want it to do, and it won't do anything other than what I tell it to do, and it'll do that for eternity unless I get it back and reprogram it.
That sounds way, way too technical. Way too technical.
Well, the reason I started using them was because it at least it was giving me more control over the tuner rather than just buying. A lot of these guys, they'll buy these little tuners, not the programmable ones, and then they'll put pots on them, potentiometers, and they will control it using the potentiometer to control how much it scans and they slow it up and speed it down. I wanted more control. I wanted to be able to pick what I'm scanning and what I'm not scanning. And you can't do that with just the analog ones. You can only do that if you're programming them.
Well, Bill, I think this would be a good time if we gave a little test as to what you actually do, especially for the listeners who may not have heard what you were doing. So for the listeners, you're going to hear these clicking sounds, and you're going to be wondering, what the hell am I listening to? What am I supposed to be listening for? Bill is going to ask some questions as we try and pick out some sort of communication, whether it's with a spirit that any of you know out there. And if you're in the chat rooms, please feel free to message on in on who you would like to try and have Bill communicate with, or you can just play along. Tell us what you hear after Bill's questions. Try and be specific to the question. So like I said earlier, right off the top, if Bill is asking a question about, the sky being blue, don't write down white piece of paper. That doesn't mean anything. You know what I'm saying? You guys know what to do if you've been here before. So let's have some fun. And, Bill, why don't you fire it up and give everybody a little taste test?
Okay, I'll turn it on. Okay, that's basically what it sounds like. I just turned the scan just slightly up a little.
Hey, Bob? Well, then let's recognize it.
Horses and
How many active spirits are around this area where I am right now?
Whoa.
Who's this? Is it possible that I could get a name? How are you? Is there any spirits that hang around this area where I am of Fleetwood in Surrey? Near the old school, Fleetwood Elementary? Are we happy tonight? You like the rain? That's a very faint voice I'm hearing. Who else is there? You have a message for me then? Yeah? Are you able to see me right now? Where am I sitting if you can see me?
Mobile candidacy.
Okay, well, thank you for communicating. Okay, well, basically that's what it sounds like, the direct link there. I was just doing some adjusting to the scanning there.
Hey, I noticed that the clicking sound was much slower. Did you slow it down in speed than what we're used to?
I slowed it down just a little bit, just depending on the area I'm at and all that. I just kind of, go to that, just try to minimize any broadcast radio.
Wow. Sounded really, really cool.
Hey, Dave?
Really cool. Yeah, JW.
Could I weigh in for a second?
Please do. You're the expert, man.
There was a question that came across I seen, and I wanted to make sure this question didn't get missed. Renee Blake had asked a question. She said, okay, in saying that, and if you can input what you want it to do like a mini computer, can you put in fake stuff? The answer is, with what devices I build, no, I cannot. I do not build anything like the SB7 or apps and all that. Mine don't do that. When I say mini computer, I mean basically it controls voltages, it controls amperage, it controls... I use signals to tell the devices what to do, but you cannot input any kind of audio or words or any of that stuff. I don't build any of that, and it would take a computer bigger than what I use. When I say mini, I should have said miniature. This thing will just control voltages and other little things like that. Can't be used for creating word banks and all that stuff. I don't do any of that stuff, and I won't get into it, but I don't do that.
Sounds very good. You know what? Let's get to a session here, if you don't mind, Bill, and let's fire this up. because I know we have a lot of people who want to ask questions to you and see if they can maybe get in connection with a loved one or someone else who has passed over, if you don't mind. And we got about 6 minutes here before we got to go to break, which will be a perfect time. Once again, if you're in one of our chat rooms and you're following along with this, don't type out everything individually as you hear it. Type it all together and let it go at once, because I'm going to read it on the air and see where it goes. Are you okay with that, Bill?
Yep, that's right. As long as they're not long, complicated type questions or like 2 to 3 part questions, just very short and simple.
Absolutely. And this is a good one from Rose right off the bat. She is asking, I want to know who is visiting my daughter's house. My daughter's name is Jennifer, and she hears voices and sees orbs all the time throughout her home.
Okay, and this is Rose, eh?
Yeah, her daughter Jennifer, it's her house.
Okay. I have Rose on the other side of my phone. She wants to know who's hanging around her home. Her daughter is experiencing all kinds of things. What spirits are there?
4.5. Let's see that.
You have a name of any of the spirits that are hanging around Rose's home right now? Why are they showing themselves in one way or the other to her daughter, Jennifer? Can you tell me why? She more connected? And how many spirits are around her home of Rose's? Can you tell me? Any names that can help? What else do you know there? How about the spirits that hang around Rose's home? Do they have a message? Why do you hang around Rose's home? Do you have a connection there? What connection do you have? Can you tell me, please? Don't know? Why?
Yes.
Okay, well, we thank you for communicating with us.
Wonderful.
Yes, that's good.
That was
There
a
we
good
go.
session. That was a good
Yeah,
session. For some
a
reason,
little bit in the dark here.
For some reason, I can
couldn't see the
honestly
switch.
say, Bill, for some reason, I can honestly say that always that first one that we do, I struggle. I cannot hear a thing. It takes like 2 or 3 for my hearing to kick in with this. So we're going to check out what the audience has to say here as they start loading up. All right. Renee got brother. Yes. Number 4, when you asked how many spirits there were, told you don't know, not her house, don't know. Ron got 45. You sang that. Guitar, metal guitar. The number 4 again for the spirits, nothing, and up. Eluros got 4 for how many spirits there were. And for the question, who is hanging around the house, got a brother. And BTO got, I'm afraid to answer. I'm hanging around. None at all. Don't know. Daryl got 45. Don't say that. Rosa, M, and D. So let's see. Michael McNeil got, I see that. That's her. Sure. Yeah, Come home. That was a don't know. Me up. And Ron also got Rose and the number 4 as well. So that's kind of interesting how it pans out. Let's see who else got some notes here. Bear with me. Sometimes I come a little late here. No, I think we're good on that one, man. I think we're absolutely good. And that actually works out pretty good because we got to go to our first break of the night. Live Ghost Box session. If you have questions, type them into Bill in the chat rooms, either on Spreaker, Revolution Radio, SOR Space Travelers on Facebook, or on Twitter at #SpacedOutRadio. I would appreciate that. Bill Hauser, along with J.W. Prather, are our guests tonight. We're talking live Ghost Box all night for the next 1.5 hours. So come join us on Spaced Out Radio. We'll be back with hour number 2 right after this.
Find your escape where time has no limits. It's about living today and cherishing the heritage of yesterday. A spirit of adventure for what is new, with the nostalgia of the past. Your timepiece is a reflection of who you are. Life surrounded by beauty from the world around us to the soul within. EscapeWatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
The freedom to post what you want, when you want. That's the social media freedom you need. Social Media Freedom is the free app in your app store. No need to worry about going to jail or being shadow banned any longer. It's the freedom to say what you feel. The freedom to know Big Brother isn't watching. It's the way social media is supposed to be. Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free. Download from your app store today.
Coming September 28th to the 30th, it's our first annual Caribou Paracon, put on by Spaced Out Radio and the Canadian Society of Questers. 3 days of paranormal, supernatural, and spiritual knowledge in the beautiful 108 Mile Ranch, British Columbia. Tickets are $150 Canadian for the event, being held at the Spruce Hills Resort and Spa. Come watch our featured speaker, Grant Cameron, along with Lorian Fenton, David Weatherly, Ross Allison, and more. The Caribou Paracon, celebrating everything paranormal.
Hi there, I'm Butch Witkowski, lead investigator with the U4 On the final Monday of every month, you can listen to me and host Dave Scott on Spaced Out Radio's Strange Days. We're going to get to the heart of the matter when it comes to what's happening out there. People are seeing and experiencing things from ET contact to Bigfoot, and I want to hear about it. Your experiences are what we investigators need to help solve these unknown mysteries. So tune in at spacedoutradio.com to the final Monday of every month from Butch Witkowski's Strange Days.
Hi there, this is Tessa Nicole Thomas, and I'm going to take you for a ride every Sunday night on Spaced Out Sundays. I'm going to set up your week with some strange tales from across North America, from psychic readings, Sasquatch, UFOs, to the most haunted locations. Come join me at spacedoutradio.com starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern, and let's get weird together. I'd love for you to join me. Spaced Out Sundays at spacedoutradio.com.
There's news, and there's the encounter. This is Spaced Out Radio News Director Everett Thiemer inviting you to check out The Encounter. Our half-hour news segment every Monday through Friday night is different compared to what you're used to. Our goal is to bring you the weird, strange, and interesting stories the mainstream tends to leave out, and stories that will make you scratch your head in disbelief. The Encounter can also be found at spacedoutradio.com and on our Facebook page, SOR The Encounter. Come give us a read.
We're bringing scientific thought to the paranormal. Hi there, this is Spaced Out Radio scientist Chris Cogswell. Join me, Chris Zuger and Dave Scott the second Wednesday of every month, where we break down the who from the woo when it comes to everything paranormal. We'll investigate and try to bring sensible answers to those straight and sometimes outlandish questions people have. Hey, not everything has an answer, but we'll do our best. Listen in to Reality Paranormal only on Spaced Out Radio.
Heading to Vancouver and looking for some great nightlife? The Moose Vancouver is the place to be. Catch a game on one of the big screens or just come rock out to your favorite 80s and 90s hair bands. Great food starting at $6.95. The Moose Vancouver is open until 2 a.m. nightly. It's easy to find near the corner of Nelson and Granville. The Moose Vancouver is the official rocking bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Are you interested in advertising on Spaced Out Radio? Head to our website at spacedoutradio.com and click on our advertising tab. There, you will find an assortment of ways you can get your product out there with us, from radio commercials to banners and social media. Have a product you like our hosts to endorse? We can do that too. Visit spacedoutradio.com for more details.
Do you want to know what's really going on in your world? Do you have questions about who you can trust in the mainstream media? Then look no further than the Rebel Planet. Come get the straight answers right here at spacedoutradio.com. Join me, Jamie Sexton, creator of Rebel Planet News, as I fill you in on the stories behind the stories. All you truth seekers, be sure to tune in to Rebel Planet on spacedoutradio.com the third Thursday of every month.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
Hey, this is Canadian Paranormal Investigator Mike Moore. The third Wednesday of every month, I'll be teaming up with Dave Scott to bring you Ghosts of the Great White North. Each month, we will bring on guests from across Canada to discuss their ghostly encounters. Canada is a paranormal hotbed with stories you've never heard, so we're going to bring them to you. So get comfy on your Chesterfield, grab a donut, and join us, eh?
The views and opinions expressed by tonight's guest and topic of discussion do not necessarily represent the official policy or position of Spaced Out Radio, Spaced Out Weekend, Spaced Out Radio Limited, its hosts, syndicated carriers, or anyone associated with this broadcast. Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. And hit us up on Twitter using the hashtag SpacedOutRadio. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Welcome back to the second hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Thank you so much for being with us. Tomorrow night on the program, Grant Cameron will be back to update us on the latest in disclosure. We get going at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern at spacedoutradio.com. We say hello to everyone listening in on the SOR Radio Network and Deep Talk Radio. And don't forget, you can check out our archives for free at our YouTube channel. Go to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. Let's see if we got a password for tonight. Mike McNeil has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. What the heck is this, Mike? Come on, it's Monday, man. Cocorophophobia. Cocoraphophobia is your password. Make sure you use it wisely, space travelers, as Bill or Mike set the password each and every night right here on the Mighty SOR. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you. You can rock out to Bumblefoot, shop at our store, read up on the encounter online, and so much more. Don't forget, tickets are now on sale for the first annual Caribou Paracon, presented by the Canadian Society of Questers and Spaced Out Radio. It is September 28th through 30th. Go to questers.ca. That's questers.ca. Click on the fall conference. Get your tickets right now. I actually want to see all of you up here for the first annual Caribou Paracon. Come to BC. It's a good little holiday. Good getaway in the fall here. So come on up. Tonight we are talking with Bill Hauser and J.W. Prather. We're talking about Ghost Box. We're doing live Ghost Box sessions here, so if you're in one of our chat rooms, you can play along and type out and maybe get some communication with somebody you are looking to communicate with on the other side. Gentlemen, welcome back.
Thank you.
Good to have you back. Good to have you back. All right, we got another question here, and this one is from Christopher. And he is asking, I want to know about the connection I have to czars, some very famous Russian czars, and why they want to try and contact Christopher. Can we go back in time?
Okay, well, I'm going to see if I can try to dial in on these guys. So this is a lot to do with the old dynasty of the Russian Tsar, I believe.
Yes,
and
exactly.
His connection to his family.
Yes.
I'm familiar with Christopher, so.
Yes.
I have Christopher on the other side of my phone. He wants to know, what connection does he have with his family to the Russian Tsar? What connection is there? From his family roots in France over to Russia and the Tsar. What connection is there? Is it possible I could get some Russian being spoken, please?
But you know, just beginning.
Oh, bar hot.
Would you have a message then for Christopher? Any of the Russian czars from the past? Do you have a question in general for Christopher? Are you concerned for Christopher? Do you have a particular message?
Telephone is after dark.
Okay. Anything in particular for him No. Anything the Russian czars would like to tell him right now. What is the connection to Russia for Christmas? Family bloodlines?
Chance about contractual.
Okay, well, we thank you for communicating. Okay, there's definitely stuff coming through. Yeah, it was very interesting.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a great piece there for Christopher, and I hope he was able to find some stuff out there. Let's get to some answers here that our people got here. SOR's Cat says she got, "Hey, Cat, we have a problem." Yeah, Chernobyl chicken. Come on, bar hop. I don't. I'll rush you. Probably not Chris. Mama, yeah. Have a problem? Relax, okay? Nah. After writes, "It's a chance among stars or czars. Crush your arm." Ronald got music. Kevin, begging, country music, bar hop, The Who. No, I'm good. Guitar, telephone. Trip got been camping. What you know, telephone, after dark. Christopher got Christoph. And let's see here. Let's see who else got anything. BTO got it happened. You want it, but you know, forgive me. No, telephone. An afterthought. And no. Sandra got Captain Chernobyl. Beginning, bar, hop, yet. Telephone, after dark. No, can't run. So we got quite a few responses there, my friend.
Yeah, definitely. It's, again, a lot of consistency with the different listeners hearing the different responses.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And Ron in the other chat room got some sort of Russian language. Nah, good. The Who were playing. Telephone and can't. He had troubles with that one, but he's Ukrainian, so he's not going to hear anything Russian. We don't like, us Ukrainians and the Russians, we don't really get along. You know that.
Yeah.
Tanya over in Australia got telephone. Telephone. All right. Ready to do another one here, Bill?
Yep.
All right. This is for Goddess Michelle, all the way in Nova Scotia, on Twitter at #SpacedOutRadio. Her aunt, Charlene, passed away 20 months ago from cancer. And Michelle, who's intuitive herself, has not been able to contact her, and it's quite odd. There's a few things that Michelle is wondering if she might be told, some items that haven't been found. So Aunt Charlene. Aunt Charlene.
Yeah. Aunt Charlene. We'll just say Michelle.
Yeah, Michelle's asking the question, and Aunt Charlene is who we're looking for.
Okay. I have Michelle on the other side of my phone. She wants to get a hold of her aunt who just passed away. Charlene, you have a message for her.
So
what message would you have for her? Charlene, what message would you have for Michelle? My God, what's that all about? You have anything you'd like to tell her? Michelle's concerned about some some possessions, some items of the family. Do you know anything that she needs to know about it?
Made with
What would you know, Charlene, about that? Did you tell Michelle?
Oh, back to school. I'm 15.
15, you say? What, that's 15 different items? Family things? Is that what you're talking about? Not?
1,000 hours.
What message would you have for Michelle? Must have a message for her. She's been wanting to hear a message. Have you been visiting? Have you been visiting Michelle? Charlene? What else would you know? You have something in particular you'd like to tell her?
Just sitting in. President. Just a little.
Just a little? Who's this? Okay, well, we thank you for communicating. Goodbye. Okay.
All right.
Very interesting communications.
Well, what I find interesting is that Michelle was saying on Twitter that she hasn't been able to talk to her aunt. And as soon as this little communication session started out for Michelle, Spreaker went out on her end. So I don't know how much I don't know how much she has actually heard, and I'm curious if that's maybe a message basically saying, no, I don't want to tell you anything right now, Michelle. But that's the beauty of having archives.
Yeah, well, I was getting a bit of a staticky hum sound at my end that normally doesn't happen, so I don't know what that's about, but maybe that's local disturbance. Who knows? But just seems a weird coincidence with her.
J-Dub, are you
I
playing?
was hearing that too.
Yeah? What would cause that, J-Dub?
Well, a lot of different atmospheric things can affect these, as well as locations in general. There's magnetic fields all over the earth, and we have electrical wires running everywhere, communication towers. So sometimes just turning your body a little bit could, get an interference from anything. You could get too close to another electrical device and pick up interference sometimes. So it's hard to say without being able to see where Bill was at. And having other devices, that's why I built so many different devices, because if you're doing an investigation, you want different devices to pick up other atmospheric explanations in that location.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's read through some of the responses that we got from our listeners out here who are paying attention to this and playing along. And here we go. Sandra got "So Do," "My God," "Love," "Major," "Always Hide," "Go Back to School," "Damn," 15, 99, "OMG," and a "Just Tuning In," "President," "Just a Little." Ronald got "Mike," "Soviet Junior," Jewelry, pardon me. It's a Canadian song from Inside the Wayback Machine. PJ got Could Be. Let's see. We got a burp on there. Tanya, all the way in Australia, got Back to School, 15, 1,000 hours, sitting in, just a little. Yeah. Michelle responded saying, I would like to say that helped, but nothing is working right now. I am going to have to restart and listen to the replay. Sigh. Something doesn't want me to hear from her. Very intriguing. Very intriguing. Interesting that she types that out right after I'd said that on the air. Let's see, what else do we got? Little Ronnie Moniak, the Ukrainian watermelon, got Back to School around 15. Close it up, 1,000 hours. I am for president, just a little. Mima. Mike got a car horn. No. I. Back to School, not nice. Oh, yeah. Sounds and Powers, just in the end. 4. Just a little. Enoch. And they also heard Niet again, too. And apparently, if you're in the Northern Hemisphere, thank you, Ukrainian watermelon, the Northern Lights are out tonight. And of course, I'm stuck in a studio with no window behind me to see if I got the Northern Lights here. Gonna have to send up a bat signal to Mrs. SOR, see if she's still awake. That's what I'm hoping for Paracon, is that we get a good set of Northern Lights here, my friend.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
All right. Renee also got, yes. Hi, Michelle. My God, maybe my stuff. Back to School. 15. My items. Not 1,000 hours. I have. I'm busy. Just a little monster. So hopefully Michelle can listen in on that, and we'll get some information that she needs out there. All right. I have another one here. But before we get to that, JW, I want to bring you in here. We've done a few of these now, and we have over the last couple of years with Bill. In your opinion, what should people really be focused on? What are they listening for?
Oh, there's so many different opinions on that. Me, I try to listen to what is there that I'm listening to live and respond to that. So I always give, like Bill does, a few seconds after each question, giving them time to respond, let my brain work it out for a second, and then move on. But biggest thing is always go back and review your audio. And I guarantee you, you're going to probably hear something different the next time, maybe more relevant or less relevant, but always go back. You can slow it down a little bit if you need to, but always go back and listen to it. And you'll pick up even more than you heard while you were listening to it live.
Right. Should people be, and J-Dub, I want to ask you this here, and Bill, I'll get your opinion on it right afterwards. But let's say you're asking, like in this case, we were asking for Michelle's aunt. Should we be paying attention to what male voices have to say, or should we just be concentrating on female voices?
You should be listen to all voices. Like I say, there's several trains of thought on this. Some say the voices come between. Some say they're actually using the words that are traveling over broadcasts. So no, you would listen to a male voice as well, and what you're listening to is the context of what they're saying. So not always will you get the response you want in the certain voice of the person you think you're looking for.
Right. And Bill, what's your thoughts on that?
It would be similar to Jay's. I mean, you had a male voice come through, and that I also think, too, sometimes other voices out there in the ether, shall we say, sometimes can speak on their behalf if they're not willing or can't manifest enough energy to speak. So that's one train of thought. When it comes down to what's being said on the Ghost Box when you're asking these kind of questions and directing it to a certain person, a lot of times I look for the intelligent responses that I'm getting back. Does it have some relative meaning to the questions that I'm asking.
Mm-hmm. See, I think that's part of the problem that I have, guys, is if I'm looking for an ant, I'm so concentrated on trying to hear a similar lady's voice that I'm not even concentrating on what the men have to say.
Well, speaking on what Bill was saying about energy, one of my devices, any of my devices, I will actually put in an ion generator because there's a belief that can produce energy that they can use, like charging up the batteries. So I'll use an ion generator, and I've been using these ion generators for a couple of years now, and I'll usually start them up and let them run for a little while, maybe 4 or 5 minutes before I start the box up, and let that energy kind of build up around it, and maybe that would help them being able to voice themselves rather than having to have someone else voice it for them if they had some kind of energy to charge up on.
Mm-hmm. And when you say energy to charge up on, what are you talking about like that? What does that mean for people who may not know?
Well, like I say, there's lots of trains of thoughts on this, and none of us know for sure, but we believe that they can pull energy from all kinds of sources in order to manifest or in order to communicate in any way, fashion, or form. And that could be from magnetic fields. It could be from... it's hard to get into the frequencies and all that without going too in-depth, but there's lots of places that we feel that they can pull energy from. That's what causes cold spots and this, that, and the other.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Trip is asking, Bill, is it possible to speed up the search a little bit? Is it possible to do that?
The scan rate? Yeah, we could a little bit.
That'd be awesome.
Any particular question that is coming through from the audience right now?
Yeah, absolutely. SOR Cat is asking, so Catherine is asking, if her grandmother is around her right now.
Okay. I have Kat here on the other side of my phone. She wants to get a hold of her grandmother. Does she have a message? Does she have a message for Kat?
He's off.
What message would you have for Kat, your granddaughter? Are you at peace right now?
I'm Prather.
Who's this? Are you speaking for her grandmother? Who else is there? By any chance, do you know where Kat's grandmother is right now? Is she available to talk to? Oh.
Ain't a good one.
I see. Is there a particular message for Kat?
Booze.
Is the grandmother happy right now? Is she at peace? She's doing good.
Anything that financing.
Who else is there? Okay, well, we thank you for communicating. Okay.
That was a lot of fun, that one. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, we're getting some strong voices through, but I think maybe some of it was broadcast radio remnants, but definitely very interesting.
Yeah, let me
I got to say, I'm enjoying this. This is the first time I've got to sit and listen to one of my boxes on the other side of, way from where I'm at, listen to it live and not listen to a recorded session.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Let's see. I'm just trying to get the start here. All right, we got the start there. See, I have a couple people in the chat rooms that will actually do like start and finishes, so it actually works out really, really cool here. So I'm just going to be scrolling up here. Okay, Ronald got good. Oh, please. Yep, John. I need help. Boots, she's not financing. Trip got, can we talk? Up front, listen to me. And Boots as well. Renee said, it's off. I'm Brad. Heaps of voices at once. She's good and singing. Let's see. Sandra says, someday it's off, but I'm trying. Just him. In a good. Boots. At anything. Financing. Just a little bit. BTO got, she's odd. I'm Pratt. I need help. Clues. Turn around. And let's see here. We'll go to the Space Travelers Club. All right. Ukrainian Watermelon got, honey, I'm trying. Asteroid, booze, cat, pussycats. Michael McNeil heard booze, too. Let's see. Michelle on Twitter got, spends all. I'm bright. Yes, all of us. Sees Jesus. May I help? Hi. Not now. Oh, yes. So I'm just going to see if there's anybody else here who's kind of playing along with the game here, and then we'll be able... Kat didn't hear anything. And I find that if I'm listening for myself, too, I don't hear anything. Do you find that quite a bit, Bill? That people who are trying to listen for themselves, maybe they're listening a little too intently and don't hear it?
Yeah, that does happen sometimes. They're really focused on who they want to contact. So, like Jay was saying, record your sessions all the time is very important. So you can play back later and listen and see if there's something that's being said that you didn't hear at the time. And your brain is trying to process a lot of stuff, too, when it's coming through, with these types of radios. So that's another factor in play.
Right. All right, we got another one here. This is from Susan, and she is wondering if her mother, Madeline Ruth Place, is around and has any type of signs that Susan should be picking up on.
Okay. I have Ruth there. She wants to get a hold of her mother, Madeline Ruth Place. Are you here? Your daughter wants a message. Do you have something for her? Are you doing okay? Are you at peace, Madeline? You have a message for Ruth?
184. For that.
What would you like to tell Ruth? We'd really like to hear a message from you. Can you say hi to her, Elise?
The Infinity.
Infinity? Wow.
Luxury vehicles. In Christ.
You have something in particular you want to tell Ruth? That's important.
Canada. We can. This is Fylth.
Who knows where Madeline is? Madeline, you have something in particular you want to tell Ruth right now. She can hear you. For 4. What's that about?
Suffering.
Okay, well, thank you for communicating. Okay, so that was an interesting session again.
That was a lot of fun, that one. There's a lot of different voices. Yeah. That's the one thing that I kind of get excited about is when I'm listening to this and I realize in radio signal, you know, radio is always changing. You're not going to hear the same voice, but we're not hearing the same songs. We're not hearing the same, you know, pitch and tone of voices. I think it's very interesting when it comes across that way.
Yeah, definitely.
All right.
That's why I like the way I program mine so that it's, and that's another thing I need to say. The one he's got right there, that's a random scan tuner. And so it's not a linear scan. And you're in radio, Dave. You know that the band goes from top to bottom and then starts over again. That tuner he's got, it doesn't go top to bottom. It's scanning all over the place. But his is also set up to scan at all the frequencies in between. So it's not at 100 or 200 steps. That thing is programmed, I think his is at 0.5, so it's scanning between all those frequencies,
really?
If that makes sense.
How fast is that scanning? What's the speed of that?
I want to say that because his was one of my earlier ones, that one was probably 30 milliseconds to 150 milliseconds is, your speed there. So you can speed it up way up. It should go pretty quick. Or you can slow it down. So I believe that was 30 milliseconds to 150 milliseconds, anywhere in there. It's adjustable.
Awesome. Let's get to some responses there for Susan's question. Junior heard Suffering, and Trip heard Savannah, I'm Gonna Be, Christ, Canada, Get Ticketed. Sandra, Sandra said, Way Over, Time, on the 8th Floor. Infinity, Vehicles, Canada, She Might Get Ticketed, Server, for for suffering. Ronald heard Yosemite, Canada. I don't know what I think it is, for suffering. BTO, thank you. To infinity and Christ, Canada. We cannot, I don't know, suffering. Hi, Bob, by the way. Love you, bro. Renee got time here. Yes, I'm peaceful. Infinity with Christ, Canada, heaven, happy before, no suffering. Mike heard suffering. And Renee heard animals bark, quack, whinny, etc. Let's make it happen. Make it happen. Let's go to the other chat room here. Little Ronnie Moniak heard fine, trying to, infinity, vehicle, or infinite, he heard, pardon me, vehicle, Christ, Canada, prayer, circle, and 4. Goddess Michelle, time skip, yes, we're there. I'm waiting, infinity, Canada, in Canada, I love, praise, and 4 as well. So let's just see what we got. Hopefully that worked for Susan, that she's able to get something there. I got a question while we're waiting to start the next one, because we got quite a bit of time here before we got to go to break at the top of the hour, so I think we got time for this question. Ron is asking, can a spirit overpower the attempt to question other people? And he says, Bill, I wonder if you have something or someone trying to contact you. Sorry, but a weird hunch.
Well, that's very much possible. I mean, yeah, I talk to spirits all the time, so I'm sure down the way there's spirits that definitely want to get my attention, especially around this area. They sometimes know me just by my name. As soon as I turn the ghost box on, they say, hi, Bill. So I do get a lot of recognition there from the spirit world. They say thank you and so on. So, yeah, if they really want to communicate, they could overpower their voiceover very easily.
Can I weigh in on that one?
Yeah, please do. I was just going to ask your opinion.
Earlier when I was talking about the kid,
yeah,
that's been since 2010. He still shows up from time to time, and he will overpower. And I can say this, I have heard words I can't use on the radio here, and I've heard words that you should not hear on the radio come across that radio, and every time it would be the kid, and someone else would say that he was being whatever. But I would get words on a radio tuner that you shouldn't be getting. And but everybody had the same thing to say, that he was basically a jerk, and he would push them aside. And that's been going on for years.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's one of the things I know about terrestrial radio, and that's what kind of makes me question, because up here, because Bill is in Canada, near the Vancouver area, and the way the CRTC works, which is exactly like the way the FCC works down in the United States, there is no way that, and we've had situations where the F word comes up or something along those lines comes up, and naughty type words that are no-nos on broadcasting. That's where I start to get a little wonderment as to how much of this is actually real that's going on, because those are words that are not going to be found on any radio station, that's for sure.
Exactly. So, and I have recordings of those words being scanned on my tuners, and not just my tuners I have now. That all started when I was ripping tuners out of, like I say, Sony radios, and I was hacking radios. So it doesn't really seem to matter what kind of device you're using. If they're strong enough, they seem to be able to push through and make their will known. And even if it is using words that you shouldn't show up on that radio.
Adam is asking, and we'll get to his reading after this. Adnome is asking, have you ever helped a spirit through the ghost box, like help them move on, Bill? Or J-Dub?
Well, I have, yes. I would have to say I've done that quite a few times. So, it does happen. I've done that actually even for people that their homes with relatives have come through, that they recognize the voice of that relative and so on. So it has happened.
Mm-hmm. JW, have you ever moved a spirit onto the light or to the other side of the veil since that?
No, I have not. And I'll be completely honest with you, I don't do a lot of sessions. I get enough just doing while I'm building that I rarely actually sit down with my boxes and do a session. I build them, I test them as I'm building them, but I let everyone else do it. For whatever reason, I've never felt that the devices I'm building for someone else that it's weird, I know, but I don't think I should be using the device. I think I should build it, do what I'm supposed to do for whatever reason, and then send it to the person it belongs to, and then they use it.
Right. So you leave it up to everybody else's interpretation.
Yes.
Perfect. So, Bill, you know how there's a couple questions that everybody always wants to know. And Ad Gnome here, you know how he also tortures me about garden gnomes every single day. About 17 hours a day he is posting on my Facebook with garden gnomes. I don't know where he finds the time because he does work. And I think Ad Gnome has a life, and between playing guitar and working, I'm trying to figure out where he has the time. But nonetheless, he says, how many gnomes are hiding around Dave's house, and what are their names? Thanks, Ad Gnome. Appreciate that.
Wow. I'll tell you, that's a great question.
No, it's not a good question, Bill. No, don't encourage him.
Well, okay. Well, hold it. At least hear me out there, Dave. He may think of it as a gnome, but in actual fact, it could be a spirit behind that name, the gnome.
That's true.
So that's how I'm kind of interpreting it in the sense. But he's just using gnome because it kind of, it's an emotional strike point for you. You react to it right away.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
So
I don't blame him.
Let's see. To me, that's a challenging question for a ghost box, but it'll be fun to try.
All right. Let's go for it.
I have Dave Scott here. He's doing a radio show tonight on his wonderful show. He wants to know, well, he doesn't really, but how many gnomes are around his backyard and front yard and around his neighborhood? Can you tell me? And not just the gnomes that you can physically see in our dimension, but what about the spirits of gnomes? Elementals, maybe. But anyway, do you know? Do you have something in particular you want to tell Dave? Gnomes. Do you have a message for him, maybe?
Envision Financial.
Are you happy that Dave does not like gnomes? And I'm talking to you, gnomes. He despises them, to be honest with you. From what I've gathered, he just can't stand them. What do you know? Why does Dave dislike you so much? You have something in particular that is stands out with you? Gnome? Or gnomes? How many of you gnome spirits that we can't see normally? How many hang around Dave's area? His neighborhood? His backyard? His front yard? You know? Are you happy that Dave doesn't like you, or are you sad? Gnomes.
Yeah, the kids radio.
Do you have a message for him, maybe? Okay, well, we thank you for your communications.
The best part of that was what sounded like a UK accented man saying, "I don't blame him," when you said, Dave doesn't like gnomes. I thought that was
heard that.
I thought that was absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Yeah. I was like, yeah. Adam is like, he's like, you rock for asking that question. God, I hate those. I tried so hard not to listen because there was that one little squeaky voice in there the entire time. And I'm like, damn it, that's it. That's the thing in my yard right now. And I'm staring out my window right now, trying to make sure there's no little red hats running on by. Ugh. All those things scare the bejesus out of me.
Oh.
Yeah.
They just do.
Yeah.
All right. Let's
even
get
in the spirit world, they know you don't like gnomes, Dave.
Sure, why not? Let's get to Daryl. She says, BS, Dave, it all depends. Help me out. Who dat? Financial emission. Don't wall me. You are dis. Get off. Can't blame him. Kid radio. Sandra said, no show. Say it. Isn't that something? What up? Not in his front. Oh, they're in the back. Look at that. They're in the back. Renee, hi, Dave. Yeah, he does. Many, laughing. I don't know. Friend, this is my name. Just one. The elves. Yes. Yeah, they are. You're welcome. Oh, terrible. Trip heard 7. Don't kiss it. Maybe you should find Eddie. I know. Curtis. BTO. Now, I think BTO is making this number up because he's a New York Mets fan and I'm a Yankees fan, and we just clash when it comes to baseball. But he's like 50 gnomes in my yard. No way. Absolutely not. It all depends. Whatever. Can't blame him, sir. PJ heard Thin Elves. Ron heard Carefree. Let's see here. Junior heard that he doesn't blame me either. All right, let's see what happened on Twitter here. Deep Talk Radio.
I heard that.
Oh, go ahead,
I heard
Jacob.
bull. I heard someone else heard bull, whatever. I did too, and I also heard kid.
Oh, you guys are terrible, terrible. Michelle heard, haha, yeah, 6. That's much less than 50, so I'd take 6 over 50. That's something. You can see them. Vision 1, can't blame him. Can't tell him, yeah, Dave, join us. No, I am not joining any gnomes. I am not joining any gnome cult or anything that goes along those lines. And now, thank you, TJ at Deep Talk Radio, for pointing or for posting on Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio a pair of gnomes with glowing red eyes. Thank you. Mr. Skeptic with the radio, the gnome holding the radio. Don't need any of that in my life. Oh, man. Let's see what's happening in our other chat room here. Let's see. Ron Hers. I love you, Dave. Be my toy. Dave, got nothing. Oh, no, you are. Just 112. Please, God, radio. Michael's heard. I see. Say it. Ha, what's up? Bill something. Boy monster. Yes, sir. Probably just one. Yeah, Dave. You know. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. I'm telling you, I'm not going to lie. I'm a little shaky right now over this one. I'm a little shaky.
You got haunted gnomes.
Oh. Now I'm going to be searching,
joking,
honestly, I'm going to be searching my yard for little pathways and for little footprints. My goodness. See what my audience does to me? They're ruthless sometimes. They're absolutely ruthless. Ruthless. It's terrible. We got about a minute here, so I'm not going to start a new question here. But there's a couple people, I just want to say, there's a couple people out there who are saying, Dave, you got to find out about Carl. What's happening with Carl the alien? I always save that for the last because, in reality, I don't like making this show about me. This is about you guys, the audience. So that's why I get all of yours in, as many as we can in, and I save the Carl thing for the last because I don't want to make the show about me. That's not what it's about. It's about you guys having some fun with Bill and JW tonight. And that's what it's all about. Right, Bill?
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's what we do. We're going to go to a break here, our final break of the night on Spaced Out Radio, as we have Bill Hauser, Vancouver, British Columbia, paranormal researcher, ghost box expert extraordinaire, and the gentleman who makes them, gentleman named J.W. Prather. We're glad to have them both on tonight because tonight has been a lot of fun. A lot of fun. And I love these Ghost Box shows. And right now, the next one we got scheduled, and Bill will check his calendar because we're seeming to do this every 2 months and the second Monday of every 2 months. So it'd be November 12th. November 12th would be the next one that we're going to do with Bill Hauser. And maybe Jay will come along for the ride, too, because this is a lot of fun having both of them here. You're listening to Spaced Out Radio. We got Bill and J-Dub. The next half hour, Everett Themer at the bottom of the hour with the SOR Encounter. We'll be back right after this.
Are you tired of being blocked, shadow banned, or placed in jail for simply posting your thoughts on social media? Social Media Freedom can take care of that for you. Social Media Freedom is the newest and one of the best free new apps that allows you the freedom to post what you want when you want. It takes seconds to download from your app store. Come join the tribe at Social Media Freedom. It's time to set yourself free.
The first annual Caribou Paracon is happening September 28th to 30th in the 108 Mile Ranch, British Columbia. Brought to you by the Canadian Society of Questers and Spaced Out Radio. Come listen to our featured speaker, Grant Cameron, along with Elizabeth Anglin, Paisley Town, Mike Moran, Eric Cooper, and more. It's a 3-day supernatural adventure at the Spruce Hills Resort and Spa. Tickets for the weekend are $150 Canadian. The Caribou Paracon, celebrating everything paranormal.
A timepiece is a reflection of who you are, and what better way to show off the real you than with an Escape watch? Escape is a lifestyle brand accessorizing your days and nights. Choose to escape and create the life of discovery that you deserve. Dream, play, unite with your own personalized Escape watch. Head to escapewatches.com. There is no time like the present to enjoy your escape. Use promo code SMF2017 for your 20% discount today.
Looking for a place to advertise at a very reasonable cost? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. SpacedOutRadio.com has an advertising tab that you can click to check out our daily, weekly, and monthly packages to play on the radio, or our website including social media. From commercial spots to banners, we have it all. Check out our competitive pricing today.
Find yourself constantly looking up in the sky, looking for answers? Have you had extraterrestrial contact? Are you an abductee? Looking for answers to your experiences? Hi there, I'm R. Keith Andrews, Spaced Out Radio's resident ET expert. Join me live the first Friday of every month where I take questions from the Spaced Out Radio chat room and help you understand those from the far-off world. It's 2 hours of knowledge every experiencer should listen to. Hope to see you there.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
The Call of the Wild is in Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is one of the hottest bars and restaurants in the city. Open until 2 a.m. nightly, the Moose will rock you like a hurricane all night long. Great food with everything on the menu at $6.95 near the corner of Nelson and Granville. Get your horns up and come rock with us. The Moose Vancouver, the official rocking bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Are you an experiencer? Have you had run-ins with strange creatures you can't explain? ETs, Dogman, Bigfoot, werewolves? They're enough to scare the daylights out of anyone. Hi there, I'm Butch Witkowski from the Four Cop. And on the last Monday of every month, you can listen to me and the host, Dave Scott, talk about the weird and the strange being reported on Spaced Out Radio. I'm going to bring my investigations and sources, you bring your experiences, and we'll figure out the rest together. Strange Days on Spaced Out Radio. Come tune us in at spacedoutradio.com.
You hear footsteps in the empty room above you. A rocking chair begins rocking by itself. Don't be afraid of the things that go bump in the night. Reach for Spirit Storybox, the iPhone app the Huffington Post UK called the only ghost hunting app you will ever need. Spirit Storybox. The spirits are telling their stories. Are you listening?
You know, it's hard being the bad man of ufology, but that's just the way that I like it. This is Chris George Zuger, and I'll be hanging out with Dave Scott and SOR scientist Chris Cogswell for Reality Paranormal, the second Wednesday of every month. And our job is to break it down and come to conclusions as to what is really going on in the supernatural world. I'd love for you to join us and bring your questions for us to investigate right here on Spaced Out Radio.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
When it comes to the news, we look for the stories that the mainstream won't cover. Welcome to Spaced Out Radio's The Encounter. This is News Director Everett Thiemer. The Encounter is about the weird and strange stories that occur daily, and we scour the world looking to bring them to you. You can hear me with Dave Scott every Monday through Friday in our Encounter news segment. Read us online at spacedoutradio.com or check us out and give our Facebook page a like at SOR The Encounter. So come give The Encounter a read.
From the mile-high state of Colorado, sharing our signal around the world, I invite you to Spaced Out Sundays. Hi, I'm Tessa Nicole Thomas, and I'm closing out the week by taking you on a paranormal journey to the world of the weird. Ghosts, aliens, psychic phenomena, I will hit it all in your questions too. So let us highlight the paranormal for you. So come join me for Spaced Out Sundays starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, 12 a.m. Eastern, only at spacedoutradio.com.
The views and opinions expressed by tonight's guest and topic of discussion do not necessarily represent the official policy or position of Spaced Out Radio, Spaced Out Weekend, Spaced Out Radio Limited, its hosts, syndicated carriers, or anyone associated with this broadcast. You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and hashtag Spaced Out Radio, and on Facebook Spaced Out Radio Show. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back to the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Thank you so much for being with us. Tomorrow night on the show, we get into UFOs and disclosure. Grant Cameron will be back to give us an update. We get going at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern at spacedoutradio.com. We welcome back everyone listening in on the SOR Radio Network and Deep Talk Radio. Don't forget, all of our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. Mike McNeil has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Cocorofiophobia. Cocorofiophobia is your password. Make sure you use it wisely, Space Travelers, as Mike or Bill sets the password each and every night right here on the mighty SOR. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you. You can rock out to Bumblefoot, shop at our store, read up on the encounter online, and so much more. Also, if you haven't yet, and you're looking for a weekend getaway, September 28th through 30th, the first annual Caribou Paracon presented by Spaced Out Radio and the Canadian Society of Questers. Go to questers.ca. That's questers.ca. Click on the fall conference and get things going. Get your tickets right now. You'll see our great lineup, including Grant Cameron, and you will love our guests, so make sure you do that. We'd love to see you up here. Tonight we are talking Ghost Boxes. Live Ghost Box sessions with Bill Hauser from Vancouver, who's a paranormal Ghost Box expert, in my opinion, and the man who creates them. His first ever interview. Can't believe it. He's breaking the ice with us. J.W. Prather out of the great state of Maine. Gentlemen, thank you so much for being here. We got you till the bottom of the hour. We're going to do some more Ghost Box sessions. What a lot of fun this is. We got to get you both back.
Look forward to it.
Definitely.
I know Bill does. Bill loves the old SOR here, so we're going to keep Bill around. Bill, you're stuck with us. You don't have a choice.
Okay.
Perfect.
Well, I appreciate y'all having me on.
Oh, we love it. We absolutely love it. And, I went outside during the break to look for the Northern Lights because the Ukrainian watermelon Ron Moniak over in Saskatchewan, he's having the Northern Lights in his area, and I got nothing. I'm a little upset about that. Going to have to check on it later. I love it when the Northern Lights are out. The problem is they're always out while I'm doing the show. And by the time I'm like, okay, I'm ready, well, the show's over. It's like, damn it, missed it again. Tripp is asking you a question, Bill, and JW can fill in here if this works as well. Bill, do you use an EMF meter and video during these sessions?
Sometimes I have used other devices, detection devices, so on, like similar to a REM pod, and I've used other types of EMF meters. I have gotten some unusual novelties sometimes that have happened from that, so it does happen.
JW, do you recommend people to use other ghost hunting equipment for any other purpose than for confirmation?
I'm glad you asked. My devices that I build, instead of having to have 4 or 5 different items, I actually build devices with those items built into it. So when you set up your camera, your box, everything is in the view of it right there. I have an EMF detector. If you go to my website, you'll see it, but I can put in magnetic field detectors. I can put in electrical magnetic field detectors, all kinds of devices like that. I build them into the device itself. As well as I also do video ITC. I have what's called the ParaView, and I can put all those same devices into the ParaView along with the Ghost Box. So you have audio and video ITC feedback system.
Oh, wow. JW, I got a question for you coming from Ron, and he is asking, when you are conducting an investigation using the Ghost Box, what do you use to protect yourself?
Well, me, of course, I'm a Christian, so I will pray. All the religious spiritual things that people do. I do the same things. But also, I look from a physics standpoint. I will actually go outside and I'll find the largest tree in that yard, and I will stand there and I will ground myself out with my hand on that tree. And I'm doing two things. I'm clearing my mind. I'm also asking for guidance and protection. And at the same time, I believe that I'm centering my frequency closer to Earth. And we haven't really talked about frequencies, but I believe that when I center myself on that tree and I start grounding myself out on it, I'm getting closer in tune with the magnetic frequencies of the Earth. And then I will go in and do an investigation. And when I leave, I will say, you can't follow me, out loud. I will say that, I appreciate your time. I'm glad I was here. All those things, but I will tell them, you cannot go home with me, you cannot follow me, and then I will ground myself out on that tree again. And that's just what I do.
How about you, Bill?
Well, I do a prayer. That's number one. And then also, I basically, when I finish off a session there, I do the countdown, say 1 to 5, but backwards, and basically state on the ghost box that you're not to hang around or follow me back home if I'm out on an investigation or whatever. And I do similar when I'm doing sessions at home. And when I'm at home, I'm also using incense like frankincense, myrrh, and also the Chinese sandalwood. And I use 3 of those in combination, and just kind of clear the house a little and just make it more harmonized. So my living area.
Very, very cool. Appreciate you sharing that with us. I got another question coming. This is from Shar. She's saying, I thought the words of the radio were needed. If not, why not just use white noise? JW, do you want to take that one?
Yes, I lean more towards white noise. My spirit boxes, especially my Paraviews, I have developed a white noise circuit that I put into the device itself that just generates white noise. And I put it on a separate switch, and you can either add it into, when you push the button, it's now in the audio circuit. So when you're recording, you're not only getting the white noise from the tuner, you're getting the white noise that I'm generating from the white noise generator as well. I believe that there's a lot of voices, a lot of contact in that white noise, and that's what led me towards, I mentioned it earlier in the show, the DRV, the direct radio voice, and that's what I do.
All right, another question, this one coming from Mike, and Bill, we'll start with you on this one, and JW will get your question on this, or your opinion on this as well. Are there spirits that are so evil, like Hitler or somebody along those lines, who cannot be contacted?
That's a really good question. I think generally any spirit that's passed over that was of a human base origins, if they really want, they can communicate. You open up that ghost box, or even something simple like a digital recorder doing an EVP. You could be doing that in Germany, around the areas where Adolf Hitler was, for example, and possibly get his, the voice of him coming through or whatever. I mean, anything's possible in this paranormal. I mean, there's so many things we still don't know about the paranormal. As far as I'm concerned, there really is no experts out there. It's just specialists in the field. But again, a lot of these devices, they're experimental, but at the same time, they do offer us some insight into the spirit world.
JW, what's your take on that? Evil spirits,
I agree.
Say conjuring the devil or something like that.
Well, I don't know about Satan himself, but I wouldn't put anything past that old boy. But I don't think he's going to really, I don't know. It's hard to say on that one. I mean, there's lesser demons and imps and everything else out there too. Plus we have the there are evil spirits, and I do believe that it is possible for them to deceive you and either come through as themselves or come through and try to contact you and act like they're who you're looking for. So that kind of leads you back to that other thing about how do you protect yourself.
Right.
Because, I do believe there's some evil ones out there, yes, sir, and they will try to contact you.
All right, let's go over to Twitter, guys. And Andrew in Vancouver, in North Vancouver, actually has a question. He is asking if there are any general spirits out there that could tune into the frequencies of Earth to see about any upcoming huge events for this planet. We've never tried that before, Bill.
Okay, let me just try to get this question. Spirits that are tapping into our
frequencies
psyche,
on Earth.
Shall we?
Well, he's just, to keep it simple, Andrew is wondering if there's any spirits who could give any information on any big events coming up for the planet.
Oh, okay. Well, it could possibly happen. I mean, in a sense, but I think it depends with the operator using the ghost box, for example. So that's how I feel about that. So, I mean, it could happen, but I mean, you have to, to me, that sounds more kind of like a metaphysic question than anything.
Right. What do you think, J-Dub? Is that a possibility to ask Spirit to do that, or do you think it's a little too generalized?
My opinion on that one is, now this is my personal opinion, that I think they're limited on what they can do. I think that they have rules like we have rules. And we go by our society's rules, whatever our government or whoever lays down rules for us. I believe that they probably have rules as well. Now, that doesn't mean some of them don't break them, but I believe that they probably have rules. They try to go by those rules, and maybe we don't understand it, but so they wouldn't do that.
Right.
Not that they couldn't, but that they probably shouldn't.
Right. Makes sense.
Now, on the question of, kind of foreseeing the future type of thing.
All right. So what you're saying is we're probably not going to get the right answer or the answers that we need out of this just in case we were to ask.
Well, it's just an opinion, but, probably not.
All right.
But we could try.
How do you feel, Bill? Is that an area where you want to go, or do you feel that that's just a little too complicated?
I have gone. Okay, yeah, I have gone to points like that in the past, but I haven't really got anything. That's the thing, right?
All right.
Like here on the West Coast, we talk about the big one, meaning the earthquakes and stuff like that. So I've kind of pushed that. Are we getting any major earthquakes in, say, the West Coast of North America? Just keep it kind of broad base kind of thing, not narrow it down to where I live or in this general area. But again, like Jay says, there's probably rules of the dead that, they're not really supposed to be telling this kind of information if it was truly going to happen.
Right. I can see that. All right, well, let's go to Ron's question then. And Ron in the SOR Space Travelers is asking if his friend Merv is okay.
Okay. I have Ron on the other side of my phone. He wants to know, how's his friend Merv doing? Ron wants to know how his friend Merv is doing.
Put on my...
Merv, are you there? Are you doing okay? Are you truly at peace?
It's only a matter of...
matter? What do you mean? So are you at peace or not? You feel happy on the other side?
I do.
You miss being back in the world of living, Merv? Are you happy on the other side now? Did you have a message for Ron? Not that something you'd like to tell him. Please say hello to him, okay? To Ron. Say hello to your friend. You have anything else you'd like to tell him? Something of concern? Okay, well, we thank you for communicating. Goodbye.
Wonderful.
Okay.
Wonderful. Let's check out what we're getting from people here as we wrap that up. And I hope, Ron, you were able to get something there. And we'll just wait. Ronald, different Ron from... I have two Rons from Saskatchewan here. Two Rons. Two different chat rooms. So, it's all tough. Only a matter. Are you happy? Crickets. Trip got only a matter. I do. Sandra. Put on my only a matter on the road. I do. He comes late. Gorge. When you asked, do you feel happy? Joe heard, I do. BTO, only a matter. I do. Cosine, hello, Ron. I'm not sure. Renee heard, hello. I'm okay. Only a matter. Hi, Ron. Hello. Mike heard, not good. Scared. Heather heard yes when asked if he was happy on the other side. Let's see what the watermelon heard. Haven't heard yet. Michael says second, put on my tell me a matter, and yes, over on Twitter. Michelle heard crackers, I don't mind. How? Only a matter, I do. Go slight. Said it, we will see. Who are you? See if anybody else has come through yet. I think that's about it. That's all we got. Gentlemen, we only have time for about one more. And because it's one more, I'm going to get a little greedy here. And the last time that we tried to get our mascot, Carl the Gray Alien, to come through, we got a couple of bars of the Close Encounters of the Third Kind theme song. Remember that, Bill?
Yes, I do.
That still trips me out. Still trips me out. So we're going to open this up to Carl. We're going to put all our intentions into Carl here and see what Carl is going to maybe musically play for us this time, and or what type of messages that he has. So if you want to fire it up, we need Carl the Alien. Time for Carl.
Yeah, it's good that you mentioned, all that intention there from the listeners and that, just to focus in on Carl, and maybe he will do something like that, play music again or little clips.
You never know.
Carl! I have Dave on the other side of my phone. You know who Dave is, Dave Scott. You hang around his area all the time. Do you have a message for him? Why do you watch him? Are you observing him for a particular reason? Carl, play a few segments of music. Play something that he would recognize, Dave. Play like you did last time, of the third time. Play a few tunes, a few notes. Are you able to communicate with them? Change? What do you mean by that? Is that you, Carl? Do you have a message for Carl or for Dave? Carl? You got a message?
And then
Are you at his place right now, Carl?
Waterfall.
You have something you'd like to tell him? Carl, you got a message for Dave? No. Why? Can you tell me why?
No, yo.
Okay, well, we thank you for communicating with us.
I got a little bit on that. There was something right off the bat before you started. I missed that. But there was something I'm like, did I hear what I think I heard? And, it goes so fast. You kind of like, I forgot. But then it said, what's your address? Come. Then when you asked about, you used to visit Dave a lot, and then it said, it changed. Then I heard the word devour. And then when you asked, are you around right now, and or would you like to communicate, and the word was no, and then it was followed up by another no.
Yeah, so, I heard that too.
So that was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
These are some of the audience responses. My friend, come, it changed, no, nobody, in his dreams, butterfall, not, I wanted to, no, you don't. Trip God, I'm driving. Carl, I changed in the fall. Sandra got traffic. Yes, come. Yes, we changed. Bye-bye. Nobody. Egypt, let her fall. No, not worth. Damn. Mike God, that's right. Breeding changed. I'm close. Let's see. Joe says, Carl said, I send Dave to Tim Hortons for donuts. I don't recall hearing that. BTO, change. Have I heard? This is true. Fall. I'm working. Renee heard. I heard that. Hello? Yes. Come. Change. I am Carl. It is. Weird alien voices again. I am traveling. Around fall. I want to. What's your address? Well, I got that one too. So changed. Let's see. That's kind of cool. Check the other chat rooms. Ron heard, come, change. I am the fall. I want to. Michael, that's right. Come, changed. Your fault. No, not. And let's see. Michelle heard, I can mention. Traffic. Changed. Have I heard? I do. Nobody. Not going to tell you. More fall. Yes, why? Yes, yeah, believe. Well. We're almost in fall. We're still in summer, technically. So I guess we got to wait till the fall in just a couple of weeks here. Maybe he'll show up for Paracon, Bill.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that'd be kind of cool.
Gentlemen, we got about a minute left with you. JW, Prather, thank you so much for coming on Spaced Out Radio with Bill Hauser, myself. What an absolute pleasure to have you on the air with us.
Thank you so much for having me. I've enjoyed it. Thank you, Bill. I appreciate it. And, yeah, you got some great listeners out there, too.
Well, I appreciate that. JW, could you tell people where they could find your Ghost Box equipment?
Yes. My website is idcdevices.com. You can find me on Facebook under my name, Jay Prather, and you can find me on YouTube under my name, Jay Prather.
Wonderful. And Bill, how can people find your information?
They can find me on YouTube as Can Dewey, and they can find me on Facebook as Bill Hauser. They can find me on autoboom.com/Can Dewey, and Google Plus, and many more sites there. They just have to put in Google Bill Hauser, a.k.a. Can Dewey, and they'll bring up a lot of stuff on me.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, gentlemen. We're going to get to Everett Themer and the encounter next. We are entering the encounter as we do every single night on this show for the last half hour. We get things going with the weird, the wacky, the strange, and the WTF of the news of the day. The news is always changing, and that's why we bring you the encounter with our intrepid news director, Everett Themer, the leader of Team Stump, right here. Mr. Everett, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great, but you are the leader of Team Stump.
Oh, yes. Yes. You know, I was talking to the investor the other day about this whole Team Stump thing. And he's like, "What?" Yeah, he goes, "I know what it is. Close Encounters of the Third Kind, of course. How do you not?" I said, "Well, we did this stupid little thing, and now everybody is like hashtagging Team Stump." And I said, we're getting major requests for Team Stump t-shirts. And he's like, "Oh, we got to get them. We're going to get some Team Stump t-shirts."
We've got to figure out a direction for Team Stump.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely, we do. Absolutely. What's that direction? It could be like the password.
Oh, well, yeah, I guess exactly. Or it could be a place where we argue the absurd.
Well, I mean, let's face it. Everybody always asks, "What's the password for?" Exactly. Right? I mean, there is no other explanation. What's the password for? Exactly. And then the funny part about it is when people get upset. "I'm going to leave this chat room if you don't tell me what the password is for." I did. Exactly.
Well, we don't want people getting upset over Team Stump.
I know. There's a couple of people who've got really upset over the password thing, and I've literally had to go into like private detail and tell them what it's all about.
What is the password about?
Exactly.
I've never found a place on the site to log in, and you won't tell me where it is. I kind of feel like the little left out child.
Oh, you know what the password is for.
Do I? No. What's it for?
I can't say it on the air.
I'm always left out of everything.
I know. Anyways, we are going to get some Team Stump t-shirts here. And,
I want one.
And our lovely and talented Catherine drew up a beautiful design that we are going to transfer over to t-shirts. So get ready for those. They're going to be coming soon when we finally get into our Spaced Out Radio store with new product.
Who'd have thunk when you uttered those words they would become Team Stump.
You know what? I look forward to the day of like being on holiday somewhere with my family and, walking down, say, downtown Disney in Anaheim there at Disneyland and watching someone come walking right towards me with a Team Stump t-shirt. That's what I want to happen, my friend. That's what I want to happen. That's the power of the media right there.
Periodically I have to sit in some of those long drawn out meetings with a tie on where you kind of doze in and out of sleep. I would love to have a Team Stump t-shirt on underneath, just so that when somebody starts to make no sense or babble on incessantly, I can just start to unveil it like Superman. Just slowly open the shirt and move the tie to the side and let Team Stump free.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. Mr. Skeptic on Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. What's the password? Exactly. Oh, exactly. Exactly what? What exactly is the password? Like a who's on first kind of thing? That is brilliant. Abbott and Costello. Beautiful. Beautiful. High quality snark right there.
That's taken from some comedy when comedy was good.
Yeah. You know what? Who was I having that conversation with? Was it you the other day? Like, who's funny these days? Who is funny?
Yeah, we were talking about that.
I don't know a single person who is funny. Like, where is the next Bill Murray or Chevy Chase or even Chris Farley? And go back further to, like, Abbott and Costello. Those guys were funny. Charlie Chaplin was funny.
Well, we have... part of Second City here in Chicago. Right. And there are a lot of, I've seen a lot of up and coming comedians kind of on the verge of making it that I think are one day going to take the place of those, who were the big ones, like Adam Sandler or John Candy, yes. Chris Farley. But I think right now there really isn't anybody. Maybe Paul Rudd, maybe.
Paul Rudd is funny.
In terms of movies.
Seth Rogen is funny.
At times. Mm-hmm. At times he's funny.
Will Ferrell is funny.
You have to give Will Ferrell some funny credit.
Oh, and what I always forget his name. His partner in crime from, like, Step Brothers.
John C. Reilly?
Oh, that guy slays me.
He's kind of dropped off the radar, though, a little bit. I know he does have a movie coming out here, I think, in the next few months, but he kind of dropped off the radar, did a couple of things with Cartoon Network, and I think actually did some drama.
I can't see him doing drama. Not with that forehead of his.
That's terrible.
I know.
I know. That's a Team Stump comment.
I know. But nonetheless, let's get to the news of the day, the weird, the wacky, the WTF. What's on the encounter right now?
Well, there's a report coming out of the Massachusetts Institute of Technology and Cardiff University, and they've determined, or at least their study shows, that robots could learn to become racist and or sexist on their own. Their joint research found prejudice isn't a human-specific phenomenon, and machines can possibly learn it from each other or humans.
How does that work if they're programmed?
Well, they had a computer-simulated game that these AIs were being run through. And it was a situation where the individual AIs were asked to donate to, now this would be like fictional credit or fictional money, to someone on their own team or another group based on just on the calculated reputations of each individual AI. And as the game went on, the researchers realized that the AI was learning from its peers to only donate to others who were in basically their same situation. So if they had a reputation value of X and somebody had one of, X -5, or another person that had one of X, they would donate to the one most like theirs. And this showed that they believe the AI are updating basically what they're calling their prejudice levels by copying things that will give them a short-term payoff versus, a long-term gain for the AI overall. And these things these judgments that they're making, they're noticing that they're based on short-term, not long-term cognitive thinking. So this could be potentially a new chink in the AI idea. I mean, we've talked about how, they could come up with algorithms or whatever and basically decide who lives, who dies. They can do things like that. Now, all of a sudden, this is another aspect to sort of reinforce the idea that they could potentially learn to think on their own.
Very, very weird. That's almost scary in a way. I'm telling you, I'm not a fan of this AI stuff, not just because of this story, but there's just something really, really in both 1984 and Terminator. You know what I'm saying?
It's a little bit scary. And what happens if AI begins to faction itself into different groups?
Exactly.
And then all of a sudden, not only are they, our overlords, there's infighting or fighting among these groups. It could be potentially disastrous.
I agree. I'm not a fan of this AI stuff. And I realize that it's coming, that there's nothing that my opinion or your opinion or anybody's opinion can do to stop it. But some of these scientists who are creating this stuff, they really, really got to go back and reread 1984 again.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I think that the farther along they go, we keep getting these little snippets or nuggets of information that just kind of keep making me at least look at the whole idea of AI with a little bit more of a questioning view.
Do you remember in the scene of Terminator 2 where they kidnapped the scientist from his home where he was having dinner with his family, took a shot in the shoulder, and they take him to find the hand with the chip, and he was crying on the ground saying, "I didn't know. We didn't know that this was the future. We were trying to make a better mankind." This is what all this AI stuff reminds me of, is that scene in Terminator 2.
Yeah, I think that's becoming more and more relevant of a scene every day.
Yeah, no kidding. Let's move on to the next story, man.
Are you a big subscriber in the idea that certain important families or groups bathe in or drink the blood of young children?
No, I am not.
Oh, there's a study that just might change your mind.
I doubt it.
A study published in the Nature Journal shows that blood taken from a young person can be key to maintaining long-lasting health in old age.
Well, of course. Because nobody lives to 90 like the Queen. Nobody lives to 100 years old like old man Rockefeller, who got to 101 before he died.
Well, they're finding that injecting the plasma of people between the ages of 15 to 25, injecting it into adults over the age of 35 can help reduce all kinds of age-related illnesses. And there's a study or a startup that is being co-founded by Peter Thiel, the PayPal co-founder.
Yes.
Yeah. That will actually sell you and inject 2 liters of plasma from young children or young adults for about $8,000.
And where are they getting this plasma?
They are getting it from volunteers.
So people are lining up their children to use them as plasma pumps? Is that what you're saying?
Well, it doesn't just have to be children. It's the donors were between the ages of 16 and 25. So, I would imagine that probably a majority of them were actually 18 to 25, but I'm sure, you can sell your plasma.
Yes. Yes, that I did know. Weird,
but
man.
Can you imagine $8,000 for 2.5 liters of somebody else's plasma injected into you?
Well, if it's, you know what, this is where I have a real human conundrum. Because if it's going to save someone's life, absolutely. Absolutely. But if people are going to start shooting plasma like they are Botox in order to look younger, when, you see some of these people with facelifts who are like in their 70s and they look ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? They look ridiculous. Be proud of who you are, man. Be proud of who you are.
There are some people out there with a permanent smile on their face.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So, if it's going to, be the next Botox type craze, I don't like that. Because plasma is, like, have you ever had a spinal tap where they get plasma? They hurt, man. You're on your back for 24 hours. I had one as a kid. Those are painful. I wouldn't recommend them to anybody. Right?
What I see, the concern I see with this is, and I joked a little bit about the whole idea of the important families and the consuming or bathing in this kind of blood. But what happens if this goes to the black market?
If it isn't already there.
It may well be. But
Yeah.
I'm thinking that being just in the study phase right now, sure, it may be to a certain extent, but what if they find out that this has some exceedingly, beyond our expectation results.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden there is a demand for the plasma of children and young adults.
I hear you.
And not just that creepy guy, searching around the dark web looking for some, but the common occurrence or people really wanting the demand for this.
I fully agree, man. I fully agree. And let's hope it doesn't go that way, especially at that price. Let's look at the black market on things like kidneys or other body parts. It's massive. Absolutely massive. So hopefully it doesn't go that way. Hopefully plasma doesn't go.
And I don't know, when you donate blood, how much, after they separate it, I guess, how much plasma you actually can provide. But to me, 2.5 liters of plasma, that's got to be 4 or 5 people at least, maybe more.
You would think so. Hey, I got a big news event for tomorrow.
Excellent.
And I got to admit, I'm a little emotional about it. I have to take my son to kindergarten in the morning.
That's a proud day in a man's life.
It is, but you know what? I'm a little emotional because that's a big step, man. That's a big step. Like, my boy is, that's one of the big firsts, like your first steps, your first words, your first solid food, your first hockey game. Because we're Canadian, so we got to mention that. But, there's a lot of firsts. The first time he jumped off, like, the third step. There's a lot of firsts that I've seen this year and this summer in spending a lot of time with him. And I got to admit, I got a little bit addicted to the guy. I did.
I was like that.
Yeah.
And it will probably be rough for that first week. And then after that, when he starts coming home and talking about friends that he's made, and you realize you're getting more done.
Yeah.
You adjust, and you happily adjust.
I know that. I got to tell you, my biggest concern with my little guy that I've been lecturing him this week is because we have a big yard. He just thinks he can pee anywhere. So I've been having to lecture him all week the fact that you cannot pee in the schoolyard. You just can't drop your drawers and go right there. So I've been teaching him all week. Where do you go pee? I go in the school. I said, do you go pee in the playground? No. I said, well, where do you go? He goes, I have to go into the school. Good. And then like 10 minutes later, he runs behind a tree in my backyard and goes and takes a pee.
Oh, he's a kid, though.
I know, but I'm worried about this, where all of a sudden, all of a sudden that my boy is going to be in the middle of the playground during recess, and all of a sudden, he's too busy playing, and, well, he's got to go. He's going to go right there, right beside the slide.
Well, then you will also become familiar with the infamous phone call and teacher conference.
Yes. But the good news is, they before, like last week, they take all the kindergarten kids and they kind of take them through this little interview process with mom and dad. And they were moving 6 kids of the higher learning kids into kindergarten grade 1. And they obviously felt the boy was a little bit smart because they are moving him into that K grade 1 split.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Were there pole dancers?
No, I don't think the school has any pole dancers, much like that Chinese school last week.
That's probably a good thing.
Yes. Let's get to the thought of the day, because I'm a little emotional over that. I'm not going to lie, Everett. A little emotional over it.
It'll be tough that first week.
I know. I also don't look forward to getting up at 7:30 every morning. Thought of the Day happens every day at this time, where we ask a question on Facebook and on our Twitter accounts. And because we love the audience participation around here, we read your responses on the air. So today's Thought of the Day is, what's the eeriest message you've received from a spirit? Here's some of the responses we got. Mira stated, the smell of rancid blood. Ew. Shar, a phone call. Get me out of here. She says it sounded like her dad. Robin, a voice saying, get out. Seriously. Then she said it sounded like someone was hacking and then spitting. Can you imagine? Get
that's
out.
Creepy.
No kidding. Kevin, become a Republican. Oh, did we have to get political there? Did we have to? Dale, Alex Jones wants to talk to you. Then he's like, no, not really. But that would be weird. Michael, over in the UK, actually said, my name was called in my house. But the problem was, it was just me home at that time. Oh. David, 3 knocks, 3 times, for a total of 9, at the same intervals in between. Edith, I'm with you as a penance for all the wrong I have done. Or at her feet. Orion rising. Oh, imagine that.
Oh.
Psychic Catherine says, my first ever message was bad ESP. I don't know why I find that funny. I really do not know why I find that funny. But I do. All right, let's go over to Twitter here. Phantom Recon states, choking me while I was half asleep. Oh, could you imagine?
Oh, to wake up like that? That would be horrible.
Yeah. Have you ever been woken up by something weird like that?
Quite a few times.
Oh.
Not something specifically like that, but various things have woken me up in weird ways.
Mm-hmm. Mrs. SOR actually woke up one night and she saw these hands, these shadows of hands that were holding and gripping her wrist down and pushing her wrist towards her, like pressing her on her body. That freaked her out.
I can imagine.
And then one time, when you're just about to go into that deep sleep, I actually felt the covers being pulled off of my leg and something grab a hold of my ankle and lift my ankle up very slowly. And I raised my foot up. And I remember saying, "Do you mind? I'm trying to sleep here." And then I felt my ankle and foot go slowly down. Back to bed. And I immediately covered up my feet at that point. Because you just don't know, right? That boogeyman is kind of scary.
When my wife and I first got together, we had an apartment. And for months, I woke up every morning at 2:32 a.m. with just this black mass staring at me in the corner of the bedroom.
Ew.
Wouldn't move. All it would do is it would just disappear as soon as I started to get out of bed.
Mm-hmm. That would freak me out. Oscar on Twitter, maybe grandfather came to me in a dream about 2 weeks before he passed and told me that I have to take care of my grandmother. I have taken care of her the last 23 years. Graham, a wraith form, one encounter of about 5 main ones, but the shapeshifter that appeared to me by my brother Michael and my older brother Carl terrified them as it emanated a temporal wake. That is scary. Raven, during a Ouija board session, me, where are you from? Answer, Abyss. Me, what do you want? Answer, you.
Yeah, that would end my Ouija board experience.
Yeah, that's where you grab that planchette. Bye. Goodbye. Or Jim Baker. Bye-bye. You know what I'm saying? Oh, God. Those Vic Berger edits just make me laugh. Go look at Vic Berger on YouTube. He's amazing. Amazing. All right. Unnormal Paranormal on Twitter says, hands down, anytime a spirit gives it its name, then later finding out from someone associated with the location that it's the name of someone they used to know there. UFOs See Me says, weirdest message? I've got you now. Oh, that would be eerie. Eerie. Oh, man. See, I never get anything like that. Never get anything like that, my friend.
You know, probably the weirdest response I ever got involved Bill. He was doing a session for me, and I asked him about somebody, and I did not give him their name, and their name came over, not the ghost box, but came over our Skype connection.
Really?
Yeah, it was very odd.
That is a little freaky, man. A little freaky. Mrs. SOR had that happen literally a couple days after her grandfather passed away. Our phone rang, because we had a home phone back then, and all you could hear was this scratchy white noise with, hello, I'm here, I'm here. Freaked her right out.
I love hearing about those phone calls.
Yeah, I know.
There is just something that attracts me to them. It's so weird.
As scary as they are peaceful. My friend Everett Thiemer, thank you so much for coming on with the encounter and the thought of the Dave. Where can everybody find the encounter?
For right now, they can find it at facebook.com/SOR The Encounter online, but we're moving everything over to spacedoutradio.com shortly.
Very, very cool. So pretty soon, just check spacedoutradio.com, click the news button, and go straight to the encounter right from there. I want to say a big thank you to Bill Hauser and J.W. Prather for coming on the show tonight to talk about Ghost Boxes and the live Ghost Box session. We got another date for them, November 12th. That'll be a Monday night. I hope you join us for that. Tomorrow night on the program, Grant Cameron is back to update us all on Disclosure and the To the Stars Academy. We get going at 9 p.m. Pacific, midnight Eastern at spacedoutradio.com. Don't forget, you can also go to questers.ca right now. Click on the Fall Conference. Get your tickets for the first annual Caribou Paracon, presented by Spaced Out Radio, September 28th through 30th. We got a great list, including Grant Cameron, who will talk about it tomorrow night and what he's going to speak on. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot THAL rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to all of you listening at home, at work, in your cars, wherever you may be. Everyone on Spreaker, thanks for your participation. Everyone on Twitter, thank you so much. And the Space Travelers, great having you with us as well. Thanks for telling your friends, doing your part, because together, my friends, we own the night. I'll talk to you in 21 hours from now. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Good night.